Hello, and welcome to Nuts About Baseball, a podcast that will entertain you with discussions involving everything baseball. I'm your host, Joe Grimme, and I appreciate you joining me. Sit back, relax, and enjoy as I share my passion for the sport we call America's pastime. All right, welcome everyone to this episode of Nuts About Baseball. I am your host, Joe Grimme. Today is an episode that will come through our Mixed Nuts series. That is when we don't talk about baseball. Today I'm excited to have one of my loyal listeners and one of my sons of three, Stephen Grimme. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here. I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you joining me. We are both big baseball fans, but we're not talking about baseball today because we're also big college football fans, and that's what today's topic is. We're going to talk a little bit about the playoffs that occurred last week, and then we're going to preview the two games in the semifinal round this week and talk a little wagering if anybody's into that. Does that sound good to you?
Well, yeah, I'm excited to talk about it. Should be a good couple days here of football.
Absolutely, and I want to make certain that everyone out there knows that these are our opinions only. We do not claim to be experts in wagering, and none of this is to be taken as investment advice or otherwise. Will you agree with that?
Especially mine. I would probably take the opposite. My friends will laugh at me, but yeah, they should not listen.
I do it for fun. You do it for fun. It's not like we're betting a ton of money, but I always kid around with you and others. I think I could make a lot of money if I put a website together and gave everyone my picks and told them to take the opposite, because then they'd make money.
Exactly. Well, you know what? It's all going to change on Thursday and Friday. How about that?
We're gonna turn it around, and we can call ourselves experts.
Exactly.
All right. Well, let's first talk about the games that we just saw last weekend. I'm going to start with the two that weren't close, and we'll start with Oregon and Texas Tech. That was a 23-0 shutout. Oregon over Texas Tech. Dante Moore, quarterback for Oregon, was 26 for 33, threw for 234 yards, no touchdowns. But in that game, Oregon had 47 rushes as a team for only 64 yards. How did they manage to shut Texas Tech out, scoring 23 points with only 1.4 yards a carry, in your opinion?
You know, I think it all goes back to Texas Tech's defense. They've been solid all year. Kind of when looking at their schedule too, the Big 12 was not what people maybe thought it would be. They really didn't have that crazy competition that some of the Big 10 SEC teams had. Honestly, when you look at Dante Moore too, he went 26 of 33, 234. So, you know, not a bad day passing, but with how their defense played and with what Baron Morton did, Texas Tech's quarterback turned it over, I think 4 times.
Yeah.
Oregon just did whatever they had to do to get the win. They weren't in there for style points. They were in there to score one more point than Texas Tech and get out of there with a dub. I think the rushing will be fine. I mean, they still had a couple touchdowns inside the red zone. And with Dante Moore back there, I think they'll be all right.
He's elusive. He can run, and he's exciting to watch play. You never know what you're going to get, whether he's going to have a bullet to a receiver, and they've got speed on the outside, or if he's going to run it himself. So that was not much of a game. And also on the flip side, Indiana 38, Alabama 3. Now that game, I tell you, I've watched several Indiana games this year. I've bet on them. I've bet against them, and they've won me money. They've lost me money. And to be quite honest with you, I've become an Indiana believer the more I see them play. And this game was just unbelievable. They embarrassed the Crimson Tide. And Mendoza, 14 for 16, 192 yards, 3 touchdowns. So efficient. What do you take away from this game?
I think it's a mix of a lot of things. One being Alabama is not Alabama. They're not what they used to be. I think this goes back to, I think it was a 7.5 point spread. If you put Alabama's logo on Indiana's helmets, I think it would have been a 14 point spread before the game. I think if these teams were reversed and Alabama was 14-0 and, you know, Indiana was coming in 11-3, it would have been at least 14 points. But with the mix of Ty Simpson going out, Alabama hasn't been able to run the ball all year long. Indiana really proved, I think, to a lot of people, if you weren't a believer before this game, they're the best team in the country, and they, without a doubt, can win it all and, quite frankly, have the best odds, as they should. I mean, Mendoza threw the ball 16 times, and they scored 38 points. Like, you know,
They rushed for 215 yards, and they carried the ball 50 times. So, I mean, he only had 16 attempts. And
Yeah,
what blows me away is their defense. I mean, they held Alabama to 23 rushing yards on 17 carries. I mean, that's ridiculous.
they did whatever they wanted, absolutely whatever they wanted. And I think it was 17. I think Indiana was up 17 at half. So, you come out, Alabama has a chance to maybe come down and drive and make it close. And Indiana just ran the ball down their throats. I think they ran 3 or 4 pass plays in the second half. I mean, Indiana's legit.
Yep. Yep. That game absolutely convinced me that they are. So moving on to the other two games, New Year's Eve, Miami Hurricanes 24, Ohio State Buckeyes 14.
Oh, boy.
Everybody knows that I'm a Michigan fan, and I'm sure they know that you are as well, and you come by it honestly. But, that game blew me away. Going into that game, I was convinced that Ohio State was the team to beat, even though Indiana's number one.
Mm-hmm.
It just blew me away. And, Carson Beck, he did what he needed to do. He only had 138 yards. He threw a touchdown. And, the Hurricanes rushed for 153 yards against a pretty darn good Ohio State defense. I think they're projecting, 4, 5, 6 guys to maybe go in the first round.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so, the rushing defense for Miami, they held Ohio State to 45 yards on 24 carries. You watched the game. What are your thoughts from that? What's your takeaway? I mean, did Ohio State truly lay an egg, or is Miami really that good?
It comes down to the two defensive linemen on Miami, Ruben Bain, who arguably is going to be a top 5 pick, and then Akeem Mesidor, who is also insanely good. I mean, their front seven, similar to Texas Tech's, but, a lot better. It's just unbelievable. I mean, and I do think part of it is that Ohio State's running backs weren't anywhere near where they were last year. I mean, last year they had Judkins and Henderson. I think they were both picked in the top 50 of the draft, and they hit the portal this year, and they were expecting to kind of have the same 1-2 punch, and it just wasn't that way. And that was the main difference in the game, and then the pick six, obviously.
Yeah,
I mean,
huge.
take out the pick six, it's a 17-14 game in the fourth quarter, and who the heck knows what happens from there. Miami's good. Miami's really good.
Yeah. Yeah, they are. And they showed it against Ohio State. I'm not taking anything away from Ohio State and the success they had this year. They were good, very good. And you know what? Some will probably argue that they're still the best team in the country, but guess what? They're not playing this weekend, so they can't claim the back-to-back national championship. I do want to throw this out there because you have a very good friend, Liam. He's a huge Ohio State fan. I think you were with him that night. And has anybody done any wellness checks on him lately? Because I know he probably didn't take that loss very well.
I was with him all that night, and I didn't see him for a couple hours throughout the night, but I have since spoken to him, and he seems to be doing okay. His Steelers are now in the playoffs, so he's okay.
That helps. Okay, I'm glad to hear that. I hope he listens to this, and we wish you well, Liam. Maybe next year. We're going to move on to the last game that we have already witnessed, and that was Ole Miss against Georgia. I have to admit, I went to bed early, and I did not see the end of this game. I watched the highlights on the treadmill the next morning, but Ole Miss came back and won 39-34. Trinidad Chambliss. I mean, that guy, what a story. And if the listeners out there don't know much about him, go, Google it and read about where he's come from and where he is now, because it's pretty cool to see. I mean, the guy was just phenomenal, elusive, 30 completions in 46 attempts, 362 yards and 2 touchdowns against a very, very good Georgia defense. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, the dude came to Ole Miss to be a backup.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
And what's he done? He's taken over the reins and led them to the semifinals. You watched the whole thing. I think we both had some money on Georgia, and it didn't make me too happy. But, I mean, what was the key there? Was it Trinidad, or was it just everybody around him, or what?
It was Trinidad Chambliss being Superman. I think, obviously, watching the whole game, and you would have seen these plays on the highlights, I think there were at least 3 times where he was running around 20 yards behind the line of scrimmage. And for 8, 9, 10 seconds, and he'd find a guy 15 yards down the field. He was Superman. And, I mean, if he plays like that, I don't know. Lane Kiffin, I don't know if they're going to lose if he plays like that.
Yeah, he's something special to watch. It's exciting. I love seeing these dudes enjoy success at this age, and they really, truly enjoy it. And I don't want to say that the professional athletes don't enjoy it, but it's different. And that's why I love college football so much. So,
Moto Federation is a DIY communal workspace and social lounge. We provide the tools, facility, and supplies for you to work on your own motorcycle. Beyond the workshops, we have a social lounge where members can meet to exchange ideas, share knowledge, attend workshops, and view product demonstrations. We are a rider's facility dedicated to learning, teaching, and repairing and restoring motorcycles. We embrace all forms of motorcycling, from scooters to trikes and everything in between. Learn more at motofed.com.
let's move on to this week in the preview for the Final Four. All right, the first game we have is going to be Thursday night, and that is at 7:30 p.m. We've got Ole Miss against Miami. Now, I'm going to throw some season statistics out there just so our listeners have more education if they want to take it upon themselves to make a wager or two. Miami rushing defense for the season, fifth in the FBS. They're only giving up 83 yards a game. That's just sick.
Mm-hmm.
Ridiculous. Now, Ole Miss rushing offense, 37th in the FBS, and they're rushing for 180 yards a game. So, do you see Miami winning that battle just easily, or do you think it's going to be close?
No, I think it'll be close. Keywan Lacey, the running back for Ole Miss, he's got 23 touchdowns, almost 1,500 yards on the ground. I think he's a transfer from Mizzou. He's a stud, and he's been doing it all year long. And I mean, Chambliss has that mobility too. So I think Miami's rushing defense will give it a little bit of trouble, but I think Lacey will be able to get, a good amount of yards over the course of the 4 quarters.
Yeah. Ole Miss, second in the country in total offense. They are getting 496 yards per game, and Miami's defense is 10th overall. They're giving up 285. Scoring, Ole Miss offense, 37.6. Miami offense, 31.6. On the flip side, Miami defense, pretty impressive, 13.1 points a game, and Ole Miss defense is 20 points a game. I'm excited because I think it's going to be a great game, and the line indicates that. We'll talk about that now. Miami's a 3.5-point favorite, and the total is 51.5. What do you think about those two numbers? Do you think they're accurate?
Honestly, off the first glance, I was surprised that Ole Miss was an underdog. But, it's midway through the week now, as people have been seeing through the news. Lane Kiffin has got these coaches for Ole Miss going back and forth between Baton Rouge and wherever, Glen, Arizona, wherever this game is. And I'm like thinking about the focus is are you focusing on recruiting your guys to LSU? Or are you focused on this game? There's so much distraction, and that, quite frankly, that's why I took Georgia against Ole Miss, and it took Trinidad Chambliss to be absolute Superman to win that football game. And I think he's better than Carson Beck. I do. But I think if he's not Superman, I think Miami's defense, I think Mark Fletcher, their running back, Carson Beck has been doing this for 15 years, it seems like.
Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, the dude's 34 years old.
Yeah, he seems like it.
Yeah, literally. I think I would lean Miami minus 3.5. I could see him winning by a couple field goals. I could see him winning by 4. Obviously, that's why the line's 3.5. But I think they could get it done, 27-21, maybe 27-20, something like that.
So Miami, just so the listeners out there know some of these betting stats, they are playing a ranked team, obviously. They are 5-0 against the spread versus ranked teams this year. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah, as a favorite, now this changes it a little bit. They're only 6-5 against the spread. So, that concerns me. And Ole Miss is hot. I mean, clearly they showed that against Georgia. They didn't impress me against Kentucky earlier in the year. That was one where I thought they laid an egg. I watched that.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to tell everyone what I was going to do, and again, this is not advice on how to gamble, not any way, shape, or form. This is my opinion and what I'll probably do. I think I'll probably tease Miami to 2.5 and take them to win by a field goal. I really think their defense is strong enough. And I kind of agree with you. I think Kiffin is, probably harming this team in doing what he's doing. And I just don't see Ole Miss play the way they did against Georgia. I think Miami's better than Georgia, too. So, I mean, they are playing better, at least these days, in my opinion.
Yes.
I don't know how I feel about the total. You have any feelings there?
I mean, I just said if I saw a score in my mind, I saw 27-21, 27-20. So
Yeah.
I guess I'd say under.
Go under. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, you ready to move on to the next game?
Yes, sir.
We are going Friday night, and that's going to be the Oregon Ducks against the Indiana Hoosiers. I don't know if anyone at the beginning of the season could have predicted Indiana to be in the Final Four, but here they are. And they, in my opinion, have impressed me the most with their discipline. They're well coached. And I'm sorry, I'll say it publicly. I'm not a fan of Signetti. I don't like the way that he carries himself. Yes, he's arrogant. Yes, he is confident, but he's good. I mean, he's recruited well. He brought half his team to Indiana, but he coaches them well. I mean, these guys are disciplined. They don't make many mistakes, not a ton of penalties, and they execute their roles respectively on the field. So tell me your thoughts about that team before we get into the matchup.
It's unbelievable. I mean, this Fernando Mendoza was a quarterback for the Cal Golden Bears last year.
Yeah.
He comes to Indiana. He's winning the Heisman. He's probably going to go number one overall in the NFL draft. He's the odds-on favorite to win the national title. I mean, I'm in the same boat. I'm not a big fan of Signetti, and again, he plays in the Big Ten, so I'm not the biggest fan, but he knows what he's doing. He is a heck of a coach. It's unbelievable what he's doing at a basketball-first school, one, and two, this dude's been there for 2 years. It's not like this is year 25. Like,
Right.
This is year 2. He's lost 2 games ever at IU.
And hey, you and I both know it took Harbaugh several years to get to where he needed to win the national championship at Michigan. So kudos to Signetti where he is with the opportunity he's given these kids.
Exactly.
So Indiana versus Oregon, it's a rematch. They played on October 11th. Indiana won 30-20. In that game, Mendoza, their quarterback, had 215 yards with a touchdown and a pick. Dante Moore, on the flip side for the Ducks, had 186 yards with a touchdown, but he threw 2 interceptions. So 30-20, you think these teams are very similar as they were over 2 months ago, or do you see improvement on either side or a decline on either one?
I don't see a decline at all at either team. I think IU was extremely good back then. I think they're extremely good now. I think Oregon, that was their wake-up call, and I think they're playing their best football of the year right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that pick for Mendoza you mentioned, that was a pick 6. So you take that away, it's 30-13 IU.
Yeah, true.
I don't think the gap between these two teams is 30-20. There's a reason the line is 4, 3.5, whatever it is. So I see a very close game. I do. I'm really excited for this one.
Yeah, so on the season, Indiana's rushing offense, 11th in the FBS, 220 yards a game. Up against the Oregon rushing defense was 19th in the FBS, 110 yards per game. Who do you think wins the rushing battle?
I feel like you have to say Indiana, coming off of what they just did to Alabama, and they didn't even run the ball too bad against Ohio State in the Big Ten championship. But I don't think it'll be a crazy difference.
Yeah, I think my feeling is that the rushing defense of Indiana is the part that holds the key here. They were second in the FBS this year, only giving up 73 yards a game, and then Oregon was collecting 206 yards a game on the ground, 15th overall. Indiana can hold Oregon's rushing offense to 100, close to that yards. I don't know that Dante Moore can do it to overcome what offense the Indiana's going to put out on the field.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think Oregon needs to play their most complete game possible to beat Indiana. If Indiana is off in one way, they can still beat you. They don't get penalties. Like, Oregon has to play a perfect game, I think.
Yeah, they both score a ton of points. Indiana on the year, over 41 points a game. Oregon, 38 points a game. And then on the flip side, their defenses are just phenomenal. Oregon's given up 15 points a game, and Indiana's given up 10 points, which is just ridiculous.
It's stupid.
I'm really excited for this game, and I'm thrilled for Indiana fans. It's cool to see a team in there that hasn't been this good ever. Don't they have the most losses of all time in college football?
I believe so.
So good for them. I'm glad to see it. We've got lots of friends out there that are Indiana fans and Indiana alums. So I guess personally, I'm rooting for him as much as I dislike Signetti. He's done a great job, and quite frankly, at this point, I think he deserves it. These two games are going to be awesome. I think we got 4 great teams, and I think the lines show that. So let's get to those lines on the Oregon-Indiana game. I think at last check, I used FanDuel. It was Indiana -3.5, and the total was 46.5. Let me tell you a little bit about those stats through the season. Oregon against the spread against ranked teams. That's who they're playing, a ranked team. They were 3-2, so not a huge number to really rely on there. They were 2-0 against the spread as an underdog, and that's what they are now. And when you look at the total, the over-under, Oregon went over 7 times and they went under 7 times. So I'm not sure I touched the over-under. And the same deal with Indiana. They were split evenly, 7 over, 7 under. Now on the flip side with Indiana, against the spread versus ranked teams, they were 4-0, and that's pretty big. 7-5 against the spread as a favorite. So a little better than 500, but my feeling, I think I'm going to maybe do the same thing. I might take them to a 2.5 field goal favorite and see what happens. I don't think I'm going to touch the over-under. What are your thoughts for this game?
I'll agree with you on the over/under. I don't think I'll mess with that either. I would take Indiana as well, even with the 2.5. I would even take the 3.5. I think they are the best team in the country. I think they still have a chip on their shoulder, even though they have beaten up on everybody that they've played this year, except for Penn State and Ohio State, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're the best team in the country, and I do think Oregon's really good, but I think it's going to come down to Indiana's defense being able to bottle up the Oregon offense a little bit. And like I said, if they get bottled up even a little bit, I think that's going to give Indiana enough to win.
We haven't talked much about any player props, and we don't need to get into too many specifics, but do you see any individual players that you expect to have a standout performance that you might tell someone, hey, put a little something on them and see if you can make some good money?
I'm not going to throw a name out there. I have not prepared that.
I did just put you on the spot. I didn't tell you that was coming.
You did. All right, I'll throw one name. I think the receiver for Miami, Malachi Toney, the kid's a freshman.
Yeah.
He's a stud.
He is good.
And again, I couldn't tell you what his lines are, but they're going to need him to have a good game in order to win. So I'll say Malachi Toney.
Okay. All right. That's fair. Well, I think that covers it. We've helped the listeners review the last 4 games if they didn't get a chance to watch them. And we've also given them some good food for thought for these next 2 games. Again, Thursday night, Miami and Ole Miss at 7:30. And then on Friday night, Oregon against Indiana. And, I look forward to traveling to Ann Arbor with you, my wife, your mom, and your lovely wife, Mallory, to see Michigan basketball play the Wisconsin Badgers on Saturday. So we'll be at a bar restaurant Friday night watching that Oregon-Indiana game, and I think it's going to be a good one.
Yes, I agree. I'm very excited to be surrounded with a bunch of Big Ten fans watching a Big Ten Final Four game. Yeah, it'll be a very fun weekend of football, and then, NFL playoffs coming up. So it's a good time of year.
Absolutely. And I hope maybe after these next 2 games, we're going to have a good matchup in the national championship, and perhaps we will join each other again for the preview to give everyone else out there some of our opinions as to what they might decide to wager on for that game.
Yeah, depending on how our opinionated picks go, maybe I'll have to come back.
It's going to be out there public now, and it's either going to be good or bad. And if it's bad, then they won't hear from us.
Yep.
Hey, Stephen, I appreciate you joining me. And until next time, I am Joe Grimme, and I am nuts about baseball.